Welcome to the second event this week that we are organizing on the occasion of wrapping up the first round of Digital Explorers project. For those who haven't heard about the Digital Explorers before, I'll talk about that later. For now, I just want to thank you all the way from Abuja to Brussels to Vilnius to Kaunas, and I hope some other places in the world for joining this virtual event these days when you can be part of the events anywhere in the world. We really appreciate your attention, and we hope that you will get some interesting insights from today's conversations. Today we are talking about being ready for foreign talents in the ICT companies. We have a Lithuania in our title name, but I would say that this topic is relevant for any company in the world that is not international yet, but is trying to internationalize and attract talents that are scarce globally. I am myself Mantė, one of the co-founders of AfriKo, organization that is busy connecting ICT markets of Baltic countries and African countries. And we are also one of the implementers of Digital Explorers project that we are doing together with Enterprise Lithuania, Code Academy, Diversity Development Group, and our dear partners in Nigeria, Ventures Platform Foundation. So briefly about our today's agenda, I will start with a short intro into the first journey of Digital Explorers, and we'll present the project itself. And later on, we'll hand in the leadership to Marius Ribokas from Invest Lithuania, who will be moderating a panel with different perspectives on the topic, on what it means to attract, onboard, and retain ICT talents that are coming from foreign countries to Lithuania, and are we actually ready for that? And afterwards, we will have a Q&A session, so feel free to type your questions. They will be passed to the moderator and will be addressed by the panelists. So, going into the topic, whether Lithuanian companies are ready for the ICT talents that are coming from foreign countries. First question is why we're even talking about it. And now I want to say sorry for our international audience for the Lithuanian headlines that you're seeing in my slide. But basically they represent this whole debate and this whole public outcry that we constantly hear about the shortage of ICT specialists in Lithuania. The numbers are varying from 13,000 to 20,000. And we know clearly that it's impossible to fill this gap with Lithuanians only. It will not happen that one day all Lithuanians are developers, right? Which means that we basically need to attract talent from abroad. Yet, according to statistics, in 2019, only 773 international ICT specialists came to work to Lithuania. And this is a really small number, even if we compare it to other sectors in Lithuania. For example, ICT sector attracts only 2% of the foreigners that are coming to work to Lithuania, while, for example, transportation sector has 57%. So basically, this is the whole context that we started to work with in the Digital Explorers project. We hear that there is a huge demand for ICT specialists in Lithuania, and we come with a promise to bring 50 Nigerian ICT specialists to come and work in Lithuanian companies. So in a nutshell, Digital Explorers project is an EU-funded pilot project which aims to bring badly needed talent from Nigeria to Lithuania. In my slide, you see 3 main stages that we are doing in the project. What we do, the first, is we are creating a match. So we analyzed the needs in Lithuania, we talked to a number of companies, what kind of people they are looking for, with what qualifications, and so on. And based on that, we organized the whole selection process in Nigeria, starting from application, online interviews, technical testing, and the physical selection stage that I will talk about later. Another stage is what we call helping the match to be perfect. So we not only bring people here, but we also help them to be onboarded in the teams. This is the part where we're not interfering as much, since we didn't thought it was as necessary, but we also try to monitor what's happening. Another part is that we take care of social integration of digital explorers here in Lithuania. Important part is also that we cover all the migration-related procedures. And this is what we usually discuss, that migration is one of the biggest issues, migration policies is one of the biggest issues to attract talent in Lithuania. But today we want to focus on that part where we rarely talk, so what it actually means on the company's level, when we go down from big public policies to operational level of the company. And getting back to digital explorers, the last stage is what we call making it easier to not, in brackets, say goodbye. So within the project, we bring people for 1 year. But what happens after 1 year depends on the agreement of the explorer. We call our Nigerians explorers here in Lithuania and the company. So for those who want to come back, we offer assistance for going back. For those who want to stay, we slightly support companies that are staying, but basically it's on company to go again through all the migration procedures. So this is basically what Digital Explorer is about, and this was the value proposition that we came into the companies back in 2019 in January when we kicked off the project. And it seemed like an absolute no-brainer that this is, well, the value added for the companies that badly need ICT specialists that we hear publicly constantly. Of course, there was a slight issue there. We were talking about Nigerian developers. And unfortunately, Nigeria is surrounded by a number of stereotypes that we have to tackle. So we were constantly questioned, so why Nigeria? Do they have developers there? And we came with the story that, look, you know, all the global brands are there. Microsoft recently established AI and machine learning development center in Nigeria. And this is not to talk about the local ecosystem, the local startups, especially in Fintech field, that is just buzzing there. So the talent is there. And Nigeria is a country of 200 million people, and a number of them, I think around 70%, are actually below 30 years old. So the talent is there, while opportunities might not necessarily be as many as we would like to for this number of people. So Nigeria, we sort of sold it, but not exactly. So we came to the companies to pitch the project and offer them to bring that badly needed ICT specialists. And here you see most of the answers that we got from a number of companies. I also must say that initially we targeted Lithuanian capital small and medium enterprises. Even though we knew it's going to be harder there, we thought that this is where the need is the biggest, and this is where we can achieve the biggest impact. But funnily enough, those companies would say, you know, like, all our communication is in Lithuanian, it's too big of a transformation, our HR is freaking out, our tech lead is skeptical. Well, we might consider people that would come from Belarus or some other neighboring countries, but Nigeria, you know, like, we're not sure, nope. And it wasn't as easy sell as it was supposed to be, given all the statistics about the need of ICT specialists. And the funniest thing, I think, for us was the skepticism about Nigerians. Because I think we tend to forget and tend to be too cocky about Lithuania. There is a real reason why most of Lithuanian publicity campaigns are themed around the fact that Lithuania, Vilnius or Lithuania, is not really known. So we always say that even in Nigeria, we had to sell to people, to sell to those talents that are dreaming about international experience, that Lithuania is also a choice. So no matter all the hurdles, we got the front-runner companies that dared to join the program, what we call our 7 real digital explorers. It takes certain courage to open up and to become vulnerable in a way in trying something new. So we really appreciate Ruptela, Sinoint, energy companies, ITO, Beyond Analysis, Telesoftas, and TransUnion. All these companies joined the program for different reasons. Some of them were really aware of the transformation they will have to go through, and that was their intention. Some of them were already quite international, or basically international. Some of them were interested in Nigeria as a market. The road has been different from all those companies. For one, it was better. For other, it was a bit more complicated. But we definitely learned a lot along the way. And there are a few insights that I would like to share from their journey. So how do you get ready for the journey for attracting your foreign talent? Not only attracting, but onboarding and retaining. So we say that you need to start with love and joy. And this is what we did. The very last selection stage of Digital Explorers project was a hackathon that happened physically in Abuja, where we brought all the people together from all around Nigeria, the people that we shortlisted from the initial selection process. And we brought companies from Lithuania to be part of that hackathon. And we say that this is where the magic happened. This is where a lot of stereotypes were broken. This is where companies decided to hire 4 instead of 2 people that they initially planned. And this is where we got people that were champions of the project within the companies. Because what we say is that the road can get bumpy. Diverse workplace means that you will experience challenges, and it's very important to have that champion in your team that believes that we need to embrace diversity, we need to build on those differences that we have instead of expecting that the person you are bringing from different contexts will completely blend in. And here are some few other key takeaways from that journey that we went through with all the companies. What we say is that social integration is as important as structured onboarding. So in Lithuanian small and medium enterprises, it still often happens that onboarding process is expected to happen just somehow. The more structured it is, the better for foreign talent, because the person has to adjust not only to a new country, but to new workplace and potentially new work culture. Social integration is a very big part of it, and this is what emphasized in a lot of international studies. This part we covered by the project a lot, so there was less of work for the HRs of the companies, but basically the person that is coming from a different context to a new country needs to reestablish himself or herself and find a new life here. So social integration is super important. Another thing is that there is no silver bullet. It is a transformation. It is something you need to think through and to be ready for a long-term process. No 1-week training in diversity management will help. Even though we did that training and we assisted the companies, it is a process that takes at least half a year, I would say. One of the very, very key takeaways is that you cannot do it half-hearted. You get what you give, and we say that you get it in double doses. We realized that companies that were invested the most, that were involved in the project the most, got also the biggest value added from the project. Well, and the very last thing I would say is that it has to be a two-way street learning. As I said, you cannot expect the person to fully blend in. It's better to expect that the person will bring his or her own perspective. And it's very important that that person feels equal to the team members, especially after the initial honeymoon, after all the first couple of months excitement is over, and maybe the person gets lonely and so on. That's the place where the company has to step in. So these are basically the key things that I would like to say myself, because we will go in more depth in the discussion later. And before we turn to the discussion, I would like to say that we are kicking off the second round of Digital Explorers. That could help your company to build that international skill, because we say that being international and working in an international environment is a skill. So we offer this assistance with rather small financial costs for the company, and starting data analysis, data science traineeship program for female Nigerians to come to Lithuania for 6 months to be part of your team. So we are saying join the journey, reach out, and say yes to this transformation that can really create more opportunities for your company. And before I hand in the word to Marius, I would like to say that our today's event is also being visually captured by Aušrinė from Think Visually. So basically she will be thinking visually about our debate, and in the end we will have a digital drawing that we will share with all the people who registered for this event. And before we go to the discussion, you will also see 3 digital explorers in Lithuania, short videos about, well, their experiences here. So, thank you.
So my name is Amarchi, and this is my home. That is my home office. This is where I do all the work. I am a software quality assurance specialist, that's ITO, which is why you see that I have so many phones here. This is where I sleep. This is where I vlog. Everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Aurelija. I call it my happy place because this is where I come to take walks and clear my head every evening. Also, Kaunas has a lot of street arts like this and this or this. Sometimes I want to be with my friends, so I make a little party. The past 1 year has been a life-changing experience for me, both in my career and in my life in general. I have met new people, I have experienced new cultures, and I am just a better me.
Hey, I'm Udeme Odofia from Nigeria, a digital explorer here in Vilnius, Lithuania. This is Sino International. This is my teammate. Where we have a football table where we just come to, have fun. So I work until 5 and then I go out. This street is very unique to me because this street was actually the street we walked, danced, and played lots of Lithuanian songs during the outdoor music festival, and we walked all the way down to the cathedral, and it was quite a fun thing to do. I love this place. And this is one of the beautiful things about this city. There is always something happening almost every time. So there can never be a dull moment once you're in Vilnius, Lithuania, because you always have some places to go have fun. I love it here.
So this is Telesoftas. I'm a backend developer here, Java basically. It's fun, interesting, and sometimes a little bit challenging, but challenges are good, Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but I'm a little bit rusty because of Corona, so we'll see. It was a nice game. I won. This is one of the things I like to do. Recycle, that's cardio for me. One of the things I like about Kaunas is the fact that it's not crowded. It's a very calm city, and it's totally different from Lagos. Lagos is really crowded. I can think and can meditate, and you have fresh air, and it's so cool.
Hello there. So, Mantė, thank you so much for your presentation. I'm Marius Ribokas, Key Account Executive at Invest Lithuania. In short, my main job is to make sure that key account foreign companies would be happy in Lithuania and steadily growing here. So, I guess many of you expected our charming Elias Chivilis to be moderating this discussion, but the change was so sudden that I was informed that I'm going to be moderating this discussion just yesterday, and that was already after I had my dinner. So no worries, I have my notes here, so you're in safe hands. And all of those who wanted to meet Elias here, you can't leave anymore because all the doors are being locked now. I'm just kidding, of course. Enough of me talking, I'm going to introduce the panelists. So first of all, we have Nerijus, Eimanavičius, Solution Architect and Tech Lead at Telesoftas. So Telesoftas is the company who joined the Digital Explorers project. That was the very first company to join the project. And they're currently employing 5 digital explorers. So Nerijus was involved in the Digital Explorer project from very beginning till now. Together with his colleagues, he went to Nigeria to deliver training for shortlisted candidates and select his new team members. He was also involved in delivering training program for digital explorers here in Lithuania. Then we have one of our digital explorers here. So that's Mofesola Banjo. Applause to him. Backend developer and digital explorer at the company ITO. The company currently employs 2 digital explorers, and the digital explorers are the very first international people joining the company. So Mofesola is one of the digital explorers crew members located in Kaunas, the key town, key city, as he calls it himself. And he's excited about his professional and personal journey in Lithuanian ITO. After 1 year in Lithuania as a part of the program, he is staying and continuing the journey here. So I guess there must be something good about our country, and we're going to hear about it afterwards. Then I also have familiar face, Aurelija Urbonavičiūtė, CEO at Oxygen, also a strategist at Synthesis Consulting Group. Aurelija has a broad experience in everything regarding HR and employer branding in the tech sector. She also supported digital explorers during the selection process with managing Lithuanian Nigerian HR team during the hackathon in Nigeria. And also, finally, we have Ieva Blekaitytė, people and organization culture expert at Bright Minds, as well as Wellbeing Coach at Now BU. Ieva has long-term experience as HR manager in leading corporations such as Mars, Wrigley, Coca-Cola Hellenic Bottling, the track record in leading and implementing talent strategy, organizational culture transformation in multicultural environment. She currently also supports companies in their well-being strategy, cultural transformation, and talent development processes. So as you see, we have really strong panel here today, and I'm certain that the discussion is going to be very interesting. So I guess we can jump straight to the questions. So the first question is going to be for you, Nerijus. So as I mentioned before, Telesoftas was the very first company to join the Digital Explorers program. Yes. So a question for you is, how did the company decide to join the program? Also, what's even more interesting for me is like, how did you react when your CEO came to you and told you that you're going to go to Nigeria to select a few team members? Was it something casual? Or?
No, definitely not casual. The proposal was at the right time because we were in a lookout for new people to join our company. And then the thing that they are coming from a foreign country, from Nigeria, was like not usual, of course. But we went to explore it because we like adventures in Telesoftas. We like challenge. I like challenge as a person. And that was like an opportunity that we took. We took the risk. We invested a lot in this to get new members into the Telesoftas, to add more people and to grow not only technically but also from wider range of people from the world.
Cool. So I guess I can jump straight to you, Mofesola. So we just heard about the reaction of Nerijus, and so what was your reaction when you first heard about the program? I guess that was the first time you heard about Lithuania itself.
Yes, definitely. So in my case, and I think for most of the digital explorers, it's initially sounded too good to be true. Okay. Because, we just heard of this organization that is trying to bring people to Lithuania from Nigeria to come and work. And then we're like, what's the catch? What's in it for you? Like, why are you bringing us to your country? But, we took the step and then went through the process. And it turned out to be even better than what we thought it was, And yeah, so the first reaction for me was disbelief. I had a fair amount of skepticism. And then as time went by, I realized that, it's actually quite nice. It's great. So yeah, that was like my first impression.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I guess as you're staying like after 1 year, so that...
Oh yeah, it's been an amazing experience for me so far. Yeah.
Okay, so before the next question, I need to find out if there's somebody from the company ITO. I'm looking at the camera. There must be at least a few people. So close your ears for a minute. So I have to ask Mofesola next question. So when you first came to the company, like how did the company treated you and did they welcome you nicely? Don't be listening.
Okay, yeah. So when we first got into the company, I usually tell people that we had barely settled down and then we went on a fun trip. So we came around a week before the vacation experience. So it was more like we took a trip to Lithuania and then took another trip to Greece to enjoy, the warm weather there. So it was a really nice experience in the sense that the team was welcoming. Everybody was open. People were already waiting for us because we had like a month delay or something. So people were already eager to meet the new teammates, the guys from Nigeria. So the welcome was really, like very warm, actually.
So you wouldn't say that there was something bad experience or something?
Not at all.
It's always nice to hear about Lithuania, only good things, but like it's those bad things that we improve on. So in case something comes up to your mind, just stop me and tell us.
Sure.
Cool. Good. So the next question is for Aurelija. You know the Lithuanian tech sector very well. You were working with quite a few different companies directly and then consulting many of them afterwards. So could you evaluate overall, like what's the current status quo in the Lithuanian ICT sector? And what they mean by that is how internationally and ready we are to attract people from all around the world. And is there a difference between sort of different sectors of companies?
Yeah, well, I've been working in the ICT sector for the last 13 years or so, and the situation has changed really dramatically, I would say. Right now, the situation is that majority of the companies claim to be somewhat international in terms of the culture and try to bring in more diversity. So majority of the companies, at least on theoretical level, already understand what benefits diversity can bring. And I'm talking about different types of diversity: gender diversity, age diversity, cultural diversity, race diversity, experience diversity even. So this shift has been very significant, especially over the last 5 years, I would say. But when I look internally, I could distinguish the sector, could slice and dice the sector into several different types. So there are big corporate and international companies, which by default are more ready for the international talent to come and join, because all the processes, documentation, internal, even language usually is English language, not Lithuanian. Then there are Lithuanian origin companies, the ones that operate only in Lithuania. I would say they are less ready to attract right now foreign talent because they have to make a shift. So they have to get ready to the language change, they have to culturally adjust and accept people from different culture as well. It means not to expect that they will leave everything behind and kind of mold themselves into the mass, but instead appreciate that differences can bring a lot of things and a lot of positive things. And there are Lithuanian companies that originate here but became international, and we have even such examples as MailerLite, which are remote-first company with employees in 65 countries, although they are relatively small companies. So they don't differ at all from any other international company, and they operate worldwide and everywhere. So I think it's changing a lot, but some parts, especially local companies that work only in Lithuania, need a little bit of acceleration and preparation, so they would be ready, but ready, first of all, not only in their processes and languages, but ready to accept this diversity in its truest sense and get all these benefits out of this diversity.
Would you say that there's difference between, let's say, the company leaders, the CEOs, and the sort of actual tech people in a company?
Well, we had a brief discussion just before this panel here, is that, and it's very positive discussion, the organizers of this Digital Explorers program, they were sharing that in many cases, CEOs are already very open and see the benefits of this diversity. And they want to use this Digital Explorers program as a chance to transform the company and make it truly global. Whereby sometimes middle level, like mid-managers, sometimes team leads, or even colleagues, they struggle probably because they might not know English so well. It might be difficult for them. So it's a middle layer right now that comes with more resistance rather than CEOs.
Cool. Thank you. And the next question goes for Ieva. So there are many buzzwords used in the corporate world, but diversity and inclusion are somehow fairly, I guess, new. First of all, do you agree with that, and why?
Yes and no. Well, I would say it depends very much on the company. And I think diversity and inclusion concept we're hearing more than for a decade already. And I think it's coming from the United States, where the topic on the racism is very, very hot. right? So diversity and inclusion can be looked from the different angles, what Aurelija already mentioned, right? From the race, from the gender, from the culture perspective. And I would say if the company doesn't have it as a part of people strategy, and the people strategy is not part of the company strategy, then it's really just a buzzword. But some of the companies that are really intentional and really looking seriously into that, they have it part of their strategy, part of their people development strategy, as well as company strategy. So then it becomes a real experience, I would say.
Okay. And would you say that diversity for some companies is simply sort of a source of increasing talent pool for them?
It's just one part of it, I would say. One part of it, because diversity is much more wider, and sometimes we forget about diversity just between the team members, although they are from the same culture and might be, just having different type of personalities. This is already diversity. So I would say it's very, very important to start being aware of that. Of course, from the company, start talking about it, start communicating, and actually start getting to know each other and getting to understand what is diversity really is. And then when we have somebody from outside our culture, our country, then it's much easier to be acceptable and tolerant and actually take all the benefits what can this diverse environment can bring.
You mentioned benefits. Maybe you could expand a bit more. So, for example, once the diversity is inside the company, what it brings for the company.
So, yeah, definitely. I think when we have international talent in the company, I think first of all it's really experience diversity besides the cultural diversity, of course, but experience diversity. I think it helps to become more open-minded for the rest of the team. It helps to listen for different opinion and actually think of the different solution. It really inspires and also gives an opportunity to learn new skills, like English, for example, right? And yeah, I would say become more tolerant and grow as a person individually. So I think it's besides the bringing diversity to the company makes the company more diverse, but at the same time enriches personal experience for every employee.
May I illustrate with an example?
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
Build upon what you have just said. I'm currently working on the product development, like a new product development, and we are discussing inside of the team that the worst thing you could probably do is collect the team that always high-fives you. So kind of the team that would always agree to some one opinion or would be so the same and united and equal and the same and have no other opinion that, you would not be ever able to build a product for the diverse community and product for a variety of people who have different mindsets. So in terms of the creativity, diversity is critical, because if everyone thinking in the same mode, you would never create anything creative. Whether it's creating processes, whether it's creating environment, whether it's creating culture, whether it's creating a product that will be used by different types of people. So diversity and creativity in the company are very much related and connected. And now we all know that creativity in the company and different ideas is actually a very big competitive advantage. And I quite recently worked with a very big company that originates not outside of Europe even. And the problem that they are having is that they are aging very significant. And one of the reasons is why they're aging is that young population no longer want to join them because they are not diverse enough. They don't want to work in non-diverse environment where different opinions are not appreciated. So this is another angle of how to think about it from the company perspective. If you are aging, and your people are very much the same, you might not be attractive as an employer as well.
True.
And it turns out like with very calculatable consequences.
Yeah, and I think that millennials are very, very clear about that, right? They come to the company where there is a variety and diversity of opinions. And just to build on that because of the creativity, you can actually generate new solutions. And with new solutions, you can reach new clients. And with new clients, you can bring better results. well. So it's very much related to the benefits.
That's great. I'm really happy that you touched all these topics and expanded on that. So let's go back to Nerijus. So what I would like to ask is, did you have any foreigners before Digital Explorers joining your company? And also, did you have to make any changes inside the company, let's say working culture, like the way you have meetings or anything in case of that?
Yeah, so we had already like 2 people that worked for Telesoftas at that moment already. So, and looking back more before they joined, we were always working with not only clients that are speaking in English, but also their employees that are working speaking in English. So all the communication in the company at that time already was in English. Like we wrote documentation purely in English. We have lots of communication in team in English. So that was not a big challenge. And then when we had employees on board from other countries, we started to translate our documents, like internal ones, how we work, what we do, and how we do. And then announcements in the company, like there's some buns in the kitchen, they were already started to be in 2 languages. And then when Digital Explorers joined, we were already prepared. And from the language perspective, there was less an issue, more of working towards that, more building our knowledge in speaking, explaining, discussing in English, and sort of growing our skill in that area so that we are better at it when we have to talk with client and client developers when we are composing single team. So, so I think that we were very, very much prepared, and that was a smooth journey for us.
So I guess the onboarding itself was almost as similar as for a local person.
Yeah, of course. And speaking about people onboarding, we already had a structure, and it was no different for Digital Explorers. We still onboard them as we would be onboarding Lithuanian peoples. Just that we do the onboarding in English, but our onboarding process, the task, the guidelines were already in English. We already want our developers to know English, to work with English. And here we just sit down with them, have those regular meetups, workshops, and improve, align, and just go to work.
Cool, thank you. Let's go back to you, Mofesola. So I guess you only told positive things about Lithuania and your experience here, but I guess there must be some challenges when you came here. So what were your biggest challenges when you arrived to Lithuania? And also, did you find something different about the working culture or the company itself compared to what you find back home?
Okay, well, I guess the major challenge will be the same for anybody coming from a warm climate, because Lithuania is a cold country, and we were even lucky not to have it, cold as usual last year, but yet it was too cold for me. But apart from that, work-related, the work ethics, the cultural difference was kind of something that needed some extra work to fit into. And the biggest surprise there is the fact that in the company where I work, Ito, we have like a flat kind of organizational structure. So you can literally walk to your boss's boss and, say your mind openly without thinking there will be consequences for what you said. And that was kind of, that was really cool. But at the same time, it felt a bit scary. Like, is this a trap? Something like that. Like, do I still need to watch what I say?
So you mean like you were suspicious about
exactly.
it? Exactly.
Yeah. Do I need to watch what I say, or is it truly like this? So yeah, but as time went by, I realized that, yeah, it is actually how people work here. And it's something that is a really welcome kind of culture to have in relation to work, because it kind of frees up your freedom to express yourself and then bring your own ideas to the table. So that was like the main work ethic difference that I can notice when it comes to working in Lithuania.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for example, all around like Lithuania, is there something unique you find? Not necessarily about the work, it's just like about the country itself.
Yeah, there's a lot of graffiti.
Graffiti.
Street art, which I love. I really love it. Yeah, street art. And I don't think I want to talk about the nightlife of Lithuania here.
Okay. Is it good or you prefer
it is good.
It is good. Okay.
Yeah.
We're happy to hear that. Okay, let's go back to Aurelija. So I guess some people know that you did a very extensive research on the perception, needs, and priorities of developers when they're choosing or staying with an employer here in Lithuania. Would you say that international work environment was a part of that conversation you were having with the developers?
Yeah, actually, the research, just to give a little bit background, we made a research with the top talent of Lithuania, so meaning we went through the company managers and company owners and asked them who are the top rock stars in your company. And they referred to a few people, and we took seniors and juniors, developers of different specialties. So these were the people who are considered to be rock stars in the companies. And interestingly enough, majority of them mentioned company culture, including the diversity aspect, as one of the most important while choosing an employer. So basically, the salary level is very similar in Lithuania across of the companies for the top talent. So you wouldn't distinguish yourself as an employer giving a higher salary because everyone is really highly paid. So there are other criteria that distinguishes you as an employer, and culture is number one, I would say, criteria for majority of the top talents and rock stars developers in Lithuania. So, and diversity plays a very significant role in there. Now, another aspect to add to that, not only to this research, but in general, we as a country, because I've been working on building companies from scratch, also not only the technology parts, but also the business development parts as well, sales teams and marketing and so on. And what I've noticed is that there is a gap of certain skill set combination in Lithuania. Our technical people don't necessarily want to do some other aspects of the work, for example, working with the clients, doing the technical work, but also doing the account management work, or doing the technical work and being technical salesperson. Where in Nigeria, what I got surprised because I was part of designing this program was that people have amazing sales skills and very good communication skills. So I see this collaboration of this program in general, Digital Explorers, as a win-win because Nigerians can teach a lot Lithuanians in terms of the skill sets, but also add to the team the missing part and the missing component.
Yeah.
So
maybe Mofesola, maybe you could add something on that. Do you sort of say that? Do you see the same perspective? Or?
Yeah, I see it from the same perspective. A typical Nigerian developer has other things that they can do. So you see somebody that his day job is being a developer, and then on the side he's developing his own company. On the side he has another company where he's working, where he's kind of trying to put things together. So one person is fiddling 3 roles at the same time. So it doesn't come as a surprise to me because it's what's expected of you naturally. So
would you say that every Nigerian developer is also a bit of entrepreneur? Or?
Yeah, well, I would say majority Nigerian developers have a bit of the entrepreneurial spirit in them. They either have a startup that they are started or they have an idea they are thinking about that they want to float.
Okay.
So
maybe you have your own startup.
Yes, of course.
You do. Of course you do. Maybe you could tell a few sentences about what the startups are doing?
My startups are currently in Nigeria, so I still hold a little bit of my
a bit
position.
on pause, or
just on pause a bit. So it's still the same Nigerian developer spirit of doing many things at the same time.
I can add as well on this, when we were going through CVs of people who are participants who wants to be in this Digital Explorers program. So we went through CVs and they were suspicious. And the another part of the CV was a video of them presenting themselves. And that was like really different experience, seeing the person, seeing how he talks, and that entrepreneurship, initiatives were like really glowing. When we did the interviews in Nigeria, they really can talk about technology, and they can discuss with you, think about issues that you can face with this problem or this solution, and so on. And at some point you are like, is it really true? Or this is just a word? So, but that really adds on to like, they are really good sellers. Yes, definitely.
I guess it's quite the opposite of the Lithuanian companies, because often you talk to company managers and let's say we tell them that, okay, you have to work on your employer branding, send some people, like your best developer to some events, and then tell them, you know, like my best developers are a bit of introverts, they don't like to sort of communicate. And Aurelia, would you agree on that, or is it?
Absolutely. I was part of the recruitment process of the Digital Explorers. I designed this process, the whole process.
Maybe you could tell a bit more, like about like what are the stages? How, like, I guess you went to Nigeria itself. So
I went to the Nigeria, and actually that was the first thing that I noticed, the huge difference. Although I've been working all over, because I've been working with teams in India, in other Asia parts, in South Africa Republic previously, but not with Nigeria. And that what came to my side instantly. I thought, oh my God, this is what we're missing as a country. You know, we need to find this match together, because these people are amazing in communication. They have this entrepreneurship spirit. They are up there to go into the front line. It's like, and you always have to beg in Lithuanian developers to get something done, go on the stage and present something. So it's a very good match, I would say, if the waves come together, if the company comes together with a talent from Nigeria, that could be amazing, and that could be a win-win situation for both sides. Like for Nigerians as well, probably to learn technical skills. And in Lithuania, there are a lot of people who are very good, like in depth on the technical skills, and deepen that knowledge is a win. And for Lithuanian company, especially the ones that are considering to work outside of this narrow local market, you need to be diverse. You need to have diverse sales force, even if you are talking about, you know, account management on the technical terms.
Yeah, and I guess it also matches with the agenda of economy and ministry innovation, who wanted like 1,000 startups and increase that even higher, and also with agenda of Startup Lithuania, who are sort of always saying that we need like more entrepreneurial sort of spirit in people. So I guess that's something we can learn from you. Absolutely, and just to add to that, I think Lithuanians are looking into Africa as a continent, as the market for themselves as well, and we have some good examples. We have Eskimi, which is a social network operating in several countries in Africa. Some people from Lithuania are working on solar energy projects in several African countries again. So this is a great business opportunity as well to onboard some people who know the local market and neighboring countries potentially. Okay, one more question for you, Mofesola. Yeah. So I heard that I had a little hint that you made a survey, like you surveyed your colleagues about like how did they sort of perceive foreign people and how the environment changed like once you two joined the company. Maybe you could elaborate on that a bit?
So the survey was small, because I kind of handpicked a few of my colleagues that I've had interaction with like the most. So one thing was common to everybody. Number one, they feel it's a positive change in the company to diversify, to have international members working on the team. And number two was everyone had the same kind of change that they noticed. It's in the fact that communication had to switch from mostly Lithuanian to mostly English. And according to what they said, it's actually a welcome change, because around the time we came was a good time, because the company too was like restructuring or changing some internal processes and also onboarding more international clients. So it was more like the direction to go in. And now that we have teammates that don't speak Lithuanian, it's like a better incentive to kind of help everybody like move in the direction of speaking in English. So that was like the those were the, what's the word? Those were the similar factors in the survey that I did.
Okay, thank you. That's interesting. And going back to Ieva, what kind of challenges should the company be aware of when employing international people? And also, can a company get ready in front for that and make it win-win for both sides?
Well, yes. I mean, preparing for incorporating somebody from different culture, there might be quite a few challenges, obviously, and you just mentioned some of them. But in my opinion, it's possible to prepare, and Nerijus, I think, explained very nicely how the company can have the onboarding process, how the company can have, you know, a person assigned like a buddy. I don't know whether it was in your case, right? Who is onboarding a newcomer, and actually not only about the processes and the culture of the company, but at the same time of the country, and if the person needs anything, you know, on the personal level. So this kind of preparation can be done, and on the other hand as well, companies should prepare not only for the incoming talent, but as well as the employees who are working in the company. So I think the awareness needs to be built as well by co-creating this culture, you know, and just getting involved as more as possible people for the newcomers, as well as, you know, having a diverse team to work on this kind of diversity and inclusion track to see what is missing in our company, how can we be even more creative, where can we, you know, contribute to each other's projects and so on. So in my personal opinion, in my previous company, we used to actually organize this kind of cross-functional teams, and we really realized how we can come up with very innovative ideas and really, new products. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very, very interesting. So that's how the benefit could be taken when you prepare. And always there is another part that is personal part that you never, you know, be able to foresee in all the details. So you never know, even though if we have two people coming from Nigeria, but they might be coming from very different families, from very different backgrounds and so on. So we also have to keep that in mind and be very, very tolerant and soft on that.
So I guess something to keep in mind for the CEOs of the companies is it shouldn't be just top-down approach that the CEO tells to the company, okay, we're going to have like a few foreigners coming, so it should be a discussion inside the company.
Correct.
To actually make a decision together and discuss like how it's going to work.
Exactly, and I think that basically the whole company has to be involved in the process and be working on that project, or let's say co-creating that culture that is welcoming different and diverse talents.
Okay. That's nice. And as a Lithuanian who worked abroad for quite some time, I guess, maybe you could share your experience as a foreigner, and maybe like it evolved during your career in the companies, and how you felt like in those companies.
Yes, I have quite a few funny stories, and I think that just talking about my experience, I started my first professional experience abroad was in Costa Rica when I went there more than 15 years ago already, and without knowing the language. And then now, just 6 years ago, I went to Spain, already speaking Spanish. So I noticed what a big difference is to speak the local language. And obviously, when you are, when I was moving inside the company, I think I was lucky to have that, because already you're coming inside the company, so you know the company's culture. We very often kind of forget that it's not only country, the different culture of the country that you are going to, but it's also the culture of the company, right? So it made let's say, my move much softer when I was in the company. But such small things, like, for example, when at the beginning or in the first weeks, I think I had meeting all my colleagues, introducing and learning about each other. I think in a week, I told much more information about my family, my hobbies, and who I am to some of the colleagues than in the last 7 years here in Lithuania. So the way that people are communicating in Spain and Lithuania is quite different. And what's interesting that I felt very, very welcomed. And I think this is also one of the aspects that all the companies who are talking about diversity and who want to be the best employers, they have to take into consideration to create this feeling of belonging. So any employee, and especially somebody who's coming from other country, has to feel he can belong. He belongs to the team. He belongs to the organization. He feels like at home. So these small things, like introducing about these hidden cultural things, like when the first week I remember everybody stands up and at 11 o'clock and are leaving somewhere. And I was like, where's everyone going? Is there a meeting? I missed something. No, we're just going for coffee. Oh, okay. Can I join you guys? Oh, yeah, sure.
Like you shouldn't ask.
So, exactly. But these small things that are really, for them, it's like, daily routine. And if nobody explains, because it's kind of an informal cultural trick, you will never, let's say, you don't know if you don't ask, so as well. So just these kind of funny things may make your life easier.
Do you experience the same things here in your company in Kaunas?
Well, yes. Something similar to the experience was we usually have like a group lunch. So there is a food chat channel where somebody volunteers to get the food for everybody. Mm-hmm. And then that day I just recognized that food was on the table. People were eating, and I'm like, where's my lunch? So, yeah, but it's gradually I learned that, okay, so if you want to eat, you have to signify in the food chat, and then you have to send your money to the person, then your food will be brought to you. So, yeah, I get that there are like a lot of internal,
unspoken,
not unspoken culture in the company.
I guess in the beginning you get some awkward moments, but
exactly.
Then once you get around that
if you... It's easy for the existing colleagues to overlook it because it's like natural to them. But for a newcomer, you're like, oh, what's going on here? Something like that.
Okay.
Going back to you, Ieva, I got very curious. Like, how does the Lithuanian decide to go to Costa Rica? Like, how does that work out? if I may ask.
Yeah, sure. So it was right after my university, as I was part of the students' organization ISEC, that is actually doing the international exchange programs. And yeah, I had an opportunity to apply and go and continue working in that organization in any country. And then I thought, which country I haven't heard about? And I just looked at the map and chose one of them. And yeah, I went through the application process and so on. So it was quite a great experience.
That's good to hear. Okay, going back to you, Nerijus. So I guess it's been a year now as you're involved in the Digital Explorers program. Do you see sort of that something changed in your company? Are there any changes? Maybe nothing changed at all?
Well, there was no big structural changes or processes changes, but the change was in peoples and like in colleagues, especially the more shy ones, as it comes from like our culture, and when we like do the workshops to improve our skill. Now, when English-speaking people join, we started to practice not only the skill of technical side, but we also were working on the English, expressing our ideas. And while we had, senior guys, team leads that were always speaking and were speaking either in English or Lithuanian, we had people that were more speaking in Lithuanian, and now they are forced to speak in English. And that force made them better at their work. They are better at communicating things with client. They are more open to speak about that. I think that's a biggest change, and it's in our favor as a company, because our employees are expressing their ideas more freely, learning from that entrepreneurship side, learning from that selling side, so that you can take the keyword and work with it. You can explain it, and as you practiced already, maybe your dictionary is not so big, but you can work with what you have and get out of the situation. And I think that's a biggest change. And in addition, of course, we have more resources. And as we tried this country, we know what to expect from the developers from there. And we are open to take more and work with them more.
Okay, so at the moment you have 5 digital explorers. So, for example, if you look at the whole sort of experience, 1 year ago, so the CEO came to you, said, okay, let's go to Nigeria. And how did that work afterwards? How did the process went? So the other companies could sort of get the sense how it is happening.
So the decision to go to Nigeria was one of the best decisions we did, because we were able to choose persons. We were not choosing just what he's writing in the CV, what he's talking in the video, and what the AfriKo telling about them. So that experience is the best. So if you are able, as a company, send at least one person to the site and see for yourself what is the culture, how the person looks in reality, that really helps you to decide that, yes, this is what I want. We brought not only the best skilled persons, but also the ones that has most of the potentials to grow. We know that we have prepared a program for them, not only for them, for other junior colleagues of ours, and we can use this really good material, we can use them, we can give more technical skills to them, and we can get back from them more. So this is really nice, and having ability to checking whether you can change to English. And having that change, you open even more. You can get people not only from Nigeria. You can borrow talents from the neighboring countries, and you are better prepared for clients that come from outside. In the cases where your main resource of projects or clients is just Lithuania, now you are open more for a bigger client pool even.
Thanks so much for such an extensive answer. And so, from what you're saying, I guess that you would recommend the Digital Explorers program for other companies too.
Of course, yes. And you just need to be open and prepared, because yes, this is a challenge, but this challenge is giving you more, and it's beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Great to hear. Aurelija, you said that you were involved in the whole process, of creating the process itself, I guess. Would you say that you would do something totally different, or maybe something didn't work out, or you would improve some of the areas?
Well, actually, we need to ask for some feedback from the explorers themselves and also the companies. I think one of the best parts as well, I would support probably what Nerijus was saying, was the hackathon itself, and companies had opportunity to come to the hackathon. And I think it was win-win situation for both parties, because Digital Explorers, right, you had opportunity to see the companies, and some even people I saw were kind of pitching in themselves directly to the companies that they admired during the process. So this very last stage, so the process was quite lengthy actually, because I assume there were around 1,000 people applying to the program within a period of 1 week, which is enormously huge number. And then they were screened out through the process. They did videos and passed multiple stages, video interviews as well. And then the very final stage of them, a number of people, I don't remember exactly the number, probably close to around 100, was invited to the hackathon, which happened over a couple of the days. And this is where the companies could meet people and see which matches their expectations most, and also Digital Explorer candidates at that point of time could choose the companies and pitch in. So that's the best aspect of it, and also understanding the culture a little bit better. Because like I previously said, there's not going to be diversity if you expect a different people to join your company and then to blend in and become homogeneous. The diversity occurs only if you give this freedom to breathe and this different attitudes, experiences to exist in that company. And I think the experience to go in that country builds that up, because in Lithuania we're still very homogeneous country in general, in terms of the talent pool and in terms of even attitudes, I would say. Look at us.
Almost like it wins. As I was saying before, like there are 10 people like who have, how do you call garbanas in English?
Curls.
Curls, yeah. So we have like 10 or 20 curly people in Lithuania, and 2 of them are sitting here in this room. So what I really enjoyed like listening to you guys is that both, like you said that it sounded too good to be true, and you also said that it sounded too good to be true, and then eventually when you met in reality, that it seemed that it is a reality, and then the match happened. So that's really good to hear. So I guess we can jump to the questions that we have from the audience. And we have the first question to Nerijus. How long the training was done for shortlisted candidates in Nigeria before the final selection? And the second part is then, what was the aim of the training you delivered?
Okay, so the training we did in Nigeria was like 1 day long or 2 days long. It was a training from the technical side where the goal was just to align, get better to know what they are capable to do, present them what we are doing in Lithuania, how our companies are structured, whether we are working with certain technologies. And then there was an idea to show and promote the craftsmanship ideas, and that was not something really specific, so and applicable to broad spectrum of the technical people. And the second part of the training was about the agile trainings. So of course that was just to teach the methodology that we often use in companies, and that really allow them to show off, to present themselves, and so on. And what was the second part?
What was the aim of the training delivered? So
so aim was just to get better to know and contribute something. Yeah, so I think that was beneficial. I don't know.
From the Digital Explorer perspective, until the hackathon, I still was not convinced that that it was real. But at the hackathon, after the trainings, then we were able to like say, wow, I think I want to work in a kind of society like this, where, okay, these are just like few individuals from the company. Imagine a company full of people like this. So because I remember specifically his class, it was the missing piece for me to kind of make up my mind that, okay, I want to be in this program. Because we had like mind-opening kind of, it was short, but it was really impactful.
So would you say that the company got your trust after like you went to the training itself? So
yes, they did.
That's good to hear. So question for Mofesola. What makes you stay in Lithuania in your company? So that's the first one. And do you compare your experience with your other Nigerian friends who are working somewhere else?
Well, I don't really have like information or the data of the experience of people working elsewhere. But what informed my decision of staying in Lithuania specifically, apart from the fact that I am a Nigerian, is I like the environment here. It gives you breathing space. Like you're able to focus on what matters and then kind of improve yourself personally as a professional. So I want to have more time to do that. And that's why I'm staying here.
Okay, that's good to hear. So I guess it's not the case, but like, everyone, like every other digital explorer who came to Lithuania, and you weren't like friends before that.
Oh, yeah. No, we were not friends before that. I think most of us met at the hackathon, actually.
Okay.
But from the hackathon, everybody, it's normal for Nigerians to really blend very quickly.
So the hackathon format, is it popular in Nigeria, or was it something unique that the Lithuanian companies
it's quite popular, actually. Like, I have been to a few hackathons before that. So it's usually something you look forward to meet up with more people and then share ideas, something like that.
Would you say it's more for the startup community or the corporate sort of companies also do the hackathons in Nigeria?
Well, I think it's more popular with the startup community. Okay. Yeah, it's more of a startup culture in Nigeria. Yeah.
And when you're looking to choose a company, were you looking for like something smaller, some bigger ones, or?
Personally, I'm always looking for something that is not too big, because I hardly want to be in a company where I am just a metric because of the population of the workforce.
Okay, so one more question from Mofesola. After finishing their contracts, are you and other digital explorers willing to go back to Nigeria and use your newly gained skills and experience for the local companies, or do you plan to stay and keep work in Europe or in Lithuania, and why?
Personally, I am staying in Lithuania. I'm continuing my work here. And the good thing about that is the fact that I don't have to be in Nigeria to contribute to the Nigerian tech ecosystem. So we are definitely giving back to the community while we are still improving ourselves here also.
Thank you. That's good to hear. So we have a question to Ieva. So a company that does not have any foreigners yet in its team, what should be the first 3 steps to prepare for becoming more international? Very, I guess, particular question.
Yeah, very good question, actually. Probably if the company doesn't have any foreigner and really wants to integrate one, so to assign to such a program like Digital Explorers, or sit with the team and actually talk about it, what basically on the benefit, what it would bring for the team, what it would bring for each individually, and basically open, I would say, review the internal documentation. This is more like procedures-based thing, but what Nerijus also shared, like all the documentation has to be ready, before somebody is arriving, right? So start the communication and documentation process, changing process, as well as basically think what kind of talent do you need to bring to the company to get it more diverse, and as well as to contribute with the experience, and just go for it.
I guess the biggest mistake is like actually start solving the issues just on the go. So we have to prepare for it in advance.
Exactly. I think.
Maybe any of you would like to add on that? What would be the crucial things? I guess you said that Telesoftas was already kind of prepared for it.
Yeah, I think you can go accept that challenge that everything is in Lithuanian for you, in Lithuania in your company. Everything is that, and the important part is the structure. If you are prepared to onboard Lithuanians and you have the process there, so translating that is the least issue you will have. And the thing is that if you communicate with him, you can transfer that knowledge by voice and confirm that with translations that happen just afterwards. And I don't see any big issue with that. It's just important that you tell everything that is essential and then work from there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so a question to Aurelija, and maybe Nerijus could add on top. How willing the companies are deal with migration bureaucracy, and also do you think migration procedures are efficient in the country? That's a painful question. So
I even started laughing about that because I actually quite recently made a small research talking to the companies and asking how willing they are to employ foreign talent in general, no matter whether from Nigeria or elsewhere. And a number of them were very happy saying that they want Lithuanian expatriates to come back and they treat them as foreign talent. Due to multiple reasons, probably that they expect these people to blend in instantly. The second step was they were looking for people who are from European Union because there are no migration procedures and processes, and you can kind of instantly onboard somebody. And majority of the companies saw it as a very big problem, the migration problems. And no matter what governmental institutions say, there is the startup visa and so on. Half an hour just before this event, I spoke to one guy who was saying the startup visa doesn't work normally. So there are a lot of problems, I would say, with migration. But when you look from the company perspective, I still don't understand why this blocker is such a big blocker. Some of these companies to whom I spoke, they hire, for example, Java developers every month. So it doesn't matter if you kick off the migration procedure, and even if it takes 6 months, in 6 months you're going to need this Java developer in any case. So you can hire the ones that have the permission to live in the interim period, and then when the time comes when the documents are complete, you will still have space to onboard that person if you are hiring, I don't know, 20 developers every month. And there are such companies in Lithuania that do that.
Would you say that companies are spoiled a bit? Or?
It's not spoiled, it's the mindset. And unfortunately, I will be very unpopular here probably saying that this mindset is quite often resides not within the top management, but within HR functions. I don't know, potentially maybe they don't want extra work. And that's why I don't want to kick off this procedure, so they try to get rid of it. But I see HR even as a blocker in that sense quite often. But if you think from the company perspective, business perspective, like diversity, and in general, looking into the world as your talent pool, not limiting yourself to Lithuanian talents, we know we are struggling here. We don't have enough people in the technology as a field. So even thinking and looking wider, thinking about the world like your talent pool creates a totally different perception, attitudes, and you would think differently even about these processes and procedures. Yes, they are horrific. They shouldn't be like that. But even if they are, some of the companies that hire in big numbers shouldn't see this as a big blocker in the problem. So.
Okay. So, for example, I guess you've seen companies inside out. So, for example, when you look at the whole HR sort of group of people, would you say that many companies have a separate person for culture, not just for hiring people?
Maybe Ieva could add on that, separate person for culture. Well, bigger companies probably do separate people for culture, right? So the smaller ones usually blend in, and HR generalists do that.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, even during the interview or the selection process, you have this kind of cultural fit, assessment. So it's very interesting topic, because now you have really to try to balance it and not to be biased only by your company culture, while at the same time the manager might be very much biasing this candidate by his own mindset and by his own opinion. So yeah, it's an interesting one and quite challenging, I would say.
On the culture as well, maybe you have noticed that over the last couple of the years especially, a lot of HRs are no longer called HRs in this region. They're called people department. Sure. It's no longer HR department, it's people, right? So I think this only shows the shift in the mindset that has not yet completed, but is already happening, that HRs are no longer perceived as, and expectations towards HRs is not to be the guardians of the old processes. They have to co-create something and be people-focused. And quite a lot of companies are already talking about that they don't want to employ somebody who they try to fit into this tiny box of theirs. But instead, they look, on what one is capable, where a person is best at, and try to find the role and potentially even design the role. It's a bit more difficult with big corporates where everything is boxed and in boxes, but in small companies, why not format to do that, and the most successful do that.
Yeah, and just building on that, actually, from my experience, we managed to create these kind of cross-functional teams, even for the recruitment processes. So we would also, also count not only on the manager's opinion, but we would include them, the members from the team, and maybe the members from the different department, that will need to work together. So yeah, I think even smaller steps, but the big corporations also trying to move forward.
But now I'm thinking that building even on this big corporate, I have quite extensive corporate experience. I worked for 6 years in Barclays Bank Technology Center. So in this big corporate even, the departments usually are quite big, and you can actually adjust the work content for people. You can move within. It's just the question of willingness to do that, to look into this. It's easier kind of to close their eyes and just do as it always been. But if you really want to create something magnificent, even in corporate, that's possible.
Sure.
What you said, it really resonates from what I heard, in maybe a year ago or so, when we're still allowed to travel and go to conferences and we had live meetings. One of the really big company's CEO said the things that one new employee came to the company, and then he was really unhappy about something and he wanted to have a meeting, and then they started the discussion and said that he's really insulted by the poster, the huge poster they had in the company, which said don't break the culture, which was said in a bit more rough words, but doesn't matter. So what they had the discussion about is that every person brings a little bit of different culture, and then if you had it sort of built in stone, then the new people, they can't really express themselves, they can't really develop on that. So they said that the next day they took the poster off and they just wrote, embrace the culture. So I guess something that you touched on too.
Well, that's an interesting topic, because as we were discussing and Nerijus was sharing and Ieva on what companies should start with while thinking about becoming more diverse, I was thinking in the background is that it actually starts here and now. I mean, if you embrace different opinions in your company, if you allow people to speak up, if you allow them to dress differently, to be just different in their nature and kind of find the benefits in these differences, this is where this diversity starts. You don't have to employ the first foreigner to start the diversity. And to start embracing this diversity. It's here and there, because we're all different, though these differences are smaller if we come from one and the same country.
And this looks a very, very simple step, but this is very, very powerful and empowering, because just one of the examples in Mars, a couple of years ago, they started an initiative at Mars, I Can Be Me. So, without big words of diversity, that we are working on diversity, without even mentioning this is diversity thing, but it was empowering employees to really express, to really share their stories, to really be themselves. So this is what we should be starting from,
Nice, I really enjoyed that discussion. So one of the last questions, which goes to Mofesola and Nerijus, so reflecting on your journey throughout the project, if you would have had to do the same sort of thing again, would you change something about the process, both from company perspective and a digital explorer?
No, not really. So, as I said, the journey to Nigeria was really very, very positive thing for us. So definitely we would go again to Nigeria to actually speak in person with people. To see them, to feel what they are trying to achieve in life and what are their goals in technical scope. So yeah, definitely doing the same things and moving forward, working with them in same way we do with other newcomers. So I would not change anything. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, the same goes for me also. I won't change a thing, because the experiences I've had in the past 1 year, personally, professionally, and as a person, growing in myself, they've been an experience of a lifetime. And if I got a chance to do it again, I would do it exactly the same way, because I'm happy.
So was it the first time you were moving to work abroad?
Yes, it's my first time working physically abroad. The closest I've had to this was working remotely from Nigeria for another company outside the country.
So I guess
really well blends. Like if we, in previous question, we had a problem with migration, but the migration just a problem for being co-located. But now we are learning more on working remotely. So maybe one of the improvements could be that we can start the program as remote thing. So if we were late, like for 1 month, to digital explorers to join the companies, we most likely can start the journey remotely. So the migration procedures can go on and take as long as they want. And we can have that communication, we can have that experience, we can benefit from this already just by doing remote. We actually are IT. There's nothing special in co-location. Yes, it's easier to build culture. It's easier to build friendship with teams, but that's just easier, not the factor.
That's very good you pointed that out.
Sure.
So, and the last question goes to Mofesola, and it's connected with what you said previously. So as someone moving for the first time to work abroad, how you can prepare for working in a different work culture and country?
Okay. Well, I would say that the most important thing to do in preparing to work abroad is to be open-minded. You should be ready for the new experiences that you are going to encounter, and at the same time be open to change, be willing to adapt, and just don't be strict on your own beliefs. Be somebody that welcomes new ideas and can imbibe them and use them in your life.
Yes.
Very good point.
Completely agree. Be curious. Yeah.
Everyone is nodding, so that's the 2 words to hear. So I guess we're about to wrap up our session today. It's really, I enjoyed what you had to say, and I totally agree with everything you said. So I guess if all of us are agreeing, so it's just we need to put that message towards the companies, their CEOs, and the teams itself to make them move forward. So I'm aware that there are so many people involved in this Digital Explorers project, and big thanks goes to all of them. That also includes Enterprise Lithuania, Code Academy, and all the other partners. And even bigger thanks goes to Mantė, who's behind the screen, and all AfriKo team coordinating the process. So I'm sure that we all agree that it was quite a milestone achieved in the last year. And that's just at the beginning. So the lack of IT specialists is obvious, and it's not just a problem in Lithuania, it's worldwide. So that's why if you want to be able to tap into the global talent, you also have to have a global mindset. So from what I've heard today, I can really say that we're on the right path. So thank you, everyone.